This story follows a young couple who travel to a remote island in search of adventure. From a distance, the island looks like the perfect paradise. Beautiful, peaceful, and untouched. But what they don't realize is that beneath its breathtaking scenery lies something far more terrifying. Hidden secrets and dark mysteries are waiting to be uncovered. Before they know it, their dream vacation turns into a living nightmare. Stranded on the deserted island, survival itself becomes a deadly challenge. At the beginning of the story, we're shown a stunning island located in the middle of the ocean. A newly married couple, Beth and Harry, have come to this isolated place to spend time together. Since they recently tied the knot, they wanted their honeymoon to be something unforgettable, something exciting and different from the ordinary. That's why they chose this remote island. Because the island is surrounded by miles of open sea, it's completely deserted. There isn't another person anywhere nearby. Beth and Harry are thrilled because they plan to stay here for 10 full days and enjoy every moment of their adventure. A man named Jackson brings them to the island by boat. His job is simply to drop them off before heading back to the mainland. As he unloads their supplies, he gives them one important instruction. If they decide to leave before the 10 days are over, all they have to do is call him using their satellite phone, and he'll come back immediately to pick them up. Beth laughs and says, "Why would we ever want to leave early?" At that moment, neither of them has any idea what awaits them on this island. After Jackson leaves, Beth starts recording everything with her camera so they can preserve the memories of their honeymoon forever. The couple is especially excited because there is nobody around to disturb them. For the next 10 days, they have the entire island all to themselves. But they have no clue about the horrors that are about to unfold in this silent paradise. After relaxing for a while, Beth and Harry head into the ocean for a swim. They spend hours enjoying the crystal clear water before returning to the beach. Sitting together on the sand, they share a romantic moment and eventually drift off to sleep right there by the shore. However, when they suddenly wake up, they're shocked by what they see. A set of footprints has appeared in the sand, footprints belonging to someone neither of them recognizes. Even more disturbing, the tracks pass incredibly close to where they had been sleeping. Confused and uneasy, they decide to follow the footprints. The trail leads straight toward the nearby forest, but the moment they reach the edge of the woods, the footprints mysteriously vanish. This raises a terrifying question. If they're supposed to be the only people on the island, then who made those tracks? After worrying about it for a while, they convince themselves it's probably nothing and continue setting up their camp. After all, they have 10 days to enjoy this place, and they don't want to ruin their trip over a few strange footprints. Harry heads into the forest to gather dry wood for a campfire. While searching through the trees, he suddenly notices a pile of bones lying on the ground. For a moment, he can't tell whether they belong to a wild animal or a human being. Then, an unsettling feeling creeps over him. It feels as if someone is watching him from the darkness. Harry quickly turns around, expecting to see someone standing behind him, but there's no one there. At least, no one he can see. Feeling uneasy, he grabs the firewood and quietly makes his way back to the campsite. The two of them sit down and enjoy their meal, chatting about all kinds of things. During the conversation, Harry shows Beth the strange bones he found earlier while collecting firewood in the forest. Beth takes a look and guesses that they probably belong to some large animal. Even so, neither of them can shake the feeling that something about the bones just doesn't seem right. After thinking about it for a while, Harry changes the subject, and the two eventually brush off the unsettling discovery. By now, it's gotten pretty late, so they head back to their tent for the night. After a little joking around, they drift off to sleep. But in the middle of the night, a strange noise suddenly comes from outside. Harry steps out of the tent to investigate, but there's nobody there. Beth suggests that the sound probably came from a tree swaying in the strong wind, and with no other explanation, they go back to sleep. The next morning, Harry is once again swimming in the water when Beth suddenly calls out to him. She points toward a tall tree, and to their shock, all of their clothes have somehow been hung high up in the branches. Both of them are left confused. In a deserted place like this, who else could possibly be responsible? Determined to find out, they venture deeper into the forest and search the area, but after hours of looking, they find absolutely no one. Eventually, they give up and convince themselves that a mischievous monkey must have taken their clothes and tossed them into the tree. Later, they decide to go fishing. While wading through the water, Harry is just about to step on a fish hidden beneath the surface when Beth quickly pulls him back. She picks up the fish and explains that it's a stonefish, one of the most venomous fish in the world. According to a book she once read, a sting from its poisonous spines can be fatal in less than 30 minutes. Realizing how close Harry came to disaster, they continue fishing much more carefully before spending some time swimming. But as soon as they climb out of the water, a chilling sound suddenly echoes from deep within the jungle. It sounds like someone is crying in pain. Curious and uneasy, they follow the haunting noise into the forest. After walking for a while, they stumble upon a small house hidden among the trees. The building looks old, abandoned, and barely standing. The sight of a house in such a remote and isolated place immediately feels wrong. Wanting answers, they gather their courage and step inside. The interior is filled with dusty furniture and old belongings that look as though they've been untouched for years. The creepy atmosphere quickly gets under Beth's skin, and she decides to wait outside. Harry, however, continues exploring. As he moves deeper into the house, he discovers a small room. On one of the walls is a bizarre painting showing a young woman holding a spear and killing a man. The disturbing image leaves Harry feeling deeply unsettled. Just then, he hears Beth calling for him from outside and rushes back out. Once outside, Beth points to something even stranger. Nearby is a grave marked with a wooden cross. Carved clearly into the wood is the name Coral. The discovery raises even more questions. Who was this girl named Coral? And how did she end up on such a deserted island? At that moment, the story reveals something even more disturbing. Hidden somewhere nearby, an unknown person has been secretly watching Harry and Beth the entire time. But who is this mysterious figure? Who owned the abandoned house? And what dark secret lies behind Coral's grave? The answers remain hidden for now and will be revealed later in the story. With no clues and no idea of the danger lurking around them, Harry and Beth eventually return to their campsite. But even after all that, those strange incidents were still stuck in their minds. Back at the tent, Beth starts going through the footage she had recorded on her camera and asks Harry to watch it with her. As they replay their videos, both of them are smiling and enjoying the memories they've captured. Then suddenly, they come across a clip that neither of them remembers filming. The video clearly shows that while they were asleep, someone had quietly approached their tent and recorded them without their knowledge. Seeing this sends a chill down their spines. At that moment, they become completely convinced that they are not alone on this island. Beth immediately panics and insists that they leave right away. But Harry tries to calm her down. He tells her that there's probably nothing to worry about and suggests that it could have been some kind of prank. Maybe someone came by while they were sleeping, recorded the video, and left. Beth refuses to believe that explanation. She points out that the island appears completely deserted, and if nobody else is supposed to be here, then who could have recorded them? Seeing how terrified she is, Harry wraps his arms around her and tries to comfort her. He reassures her and does his best to lift her spirits. Trying not to let fear ruin their trip, the two decide to ignore the incident and go back to enjoying their time together, hoping to make the most of their adventure. But then, out of nowhere, the sound of loud gunshots echoes across the island. Startled, they rush to the beach and spot a boat out on the water. Two men are sitting inside, firing their guns as they hunt large fish. The sight brings them a sense of relief. At least now they know the island isn't completely abandoned. If these fishermen are nearby, there may be other people around as well. Feeling a little safer, they return to their tent. As night falls, the couple sits inside talking when suddenly a horrifying scream pierces the silence. The cry is coming from the direction of the old house. Both of them freeze. The scream sounded so painful and disturbing that they can't imagine who it could have come from. Harry tells Beth to stay inside the tent while he goes to investigate. Even Harry is nervous as he approaches the house. Slowly, he reaches for the door. But just as he's about to open it, Beth suddenly appears behind him. Harry jumps in shock. He tells her to go back to the tent and then heads inside to search the house alone. While looking around, he discovers an old diary filled with pages of handwritten notes. He has barely started reading it when Beth begins shouting his name from outside. Hearing the urgency in her voice, Harry rushes back out. And what they see next leaves them stunned. The wooden cross on the little girl's grave, the same one that had been lying on the ground earlier, was now standing perfectly upright, as if someone had just placed it there. Seeing the scene, both of them are completely shocked. They can't figure out who could have done something like this. After thinking it over, they convince themselves that the two fishermen they saw earlier must have come here and caused all the damage. With no better explanation, they return to their tent, start a fire outside, and spend the night there. The next morning, they wake up to a horrifying sight. Dozens of sea cucumbers have been hung all around their tent. The slimy creatures look disgusting and deeply unsettling. The moment Harry sees them, he realizes this can't be some harmless prank. Something is seriously wrong. Now even Harry decides that they need to leave the island immediately. But their situation gets even worse when they discover that their backpack, and more importantly, their satellite phone, has completely vanished. Panicking, Beth says, "The phone is gone. What are we supposed to do now?" With no other option, the two set out to find the fishermen. After tracking them down, Harry and Beth start asking about the missing phone. But the fishermen don't understand their language, and the conversation quickly turns hostile. Frustrated, Harry begins yelling at them. The fishermen lose their tempers as well, and before long, a violent fight breaks out. Things get even worse when they start behaving inappropriately toward Beth. Somehow, Harry and Beth manage to escape and make it back safely. Later, when the fishermen head toward their boat, Beth and Harry secretly search through their bags, hoping to find the satellite phone. But after checking everything, they come up empty-handed. Determined to get answers, Harry decides to swim to the fisherman's boat alone. After a difficult swim, Harry finally reaches the boat. Once on board, he grabs the radio and tries to contact Jackson for help. But because of the poor signal, none of his calls go through. As Harry searches the boat for anything useful, a man suddenly appears behind him. Before Harry can react, the stranger strikes him hard, knocking him unconscious. The man then drags Harry back to the beach. That night, Harry and Beth wake up to find themselves tightly tied to a tree. One of the men approaches Beth and starts harassing her, creating a terrifying situation. Just then, the other man hears strange noises coming from deep inside the jungle. Concerned, both men leave to investigate. Seizing the opportunity, Harry desperately struggles against the ropes. After a painful effort, he finally breaks free and quickly unties Beth. They are just about to run when sudden gunshots echo through the jungle. Moments later, the screams of the two men fill the night. Harry and Beth watch in horror as one of the fishermen comes stumbling out of the forest, badly injured and covered in blood. Terrified by what they've witnessed, the pair immediately grab a boat and flee the area. The following morning, Beth wakes up and notices a trail of blood left behind by the wounded fisherman. Following the bloody tracks, she eventually arrives at the same abandoned house they had discovered earlier. Inside, she finds an old diary and begins reading it. A short time later, Harry joins her. Beth tells him that the diary explains what happened to those men the previous night. According to its pages, years ago, a young woman named Coral became stranded on the island. Alone and completely helpless, she was discovered by 7 men. Instead of helping her, they subjected her to horrific abuse, tortured her mercilessly, and eventually murdered her in cold blood. The horrifying tragedy became the island's darkest secret. But that girl came back after death as a vengeful spirit and hunted down every person responsible for what happened to her. From that day on, anyone who sets foot on the island is never allowed to leave alive. The spirit despises men, and she makes sure they suffer the most painful deaths imaginable. However, Harry doesn't believe in ghosts or supernatural stories. He dismisses the diary as complete nonsense and storms off in frustration. Beth, on the other hand, starts believing every word written in it. She gathers a few seashells and places them around Coral's grave as a sign of respect. While doing so, she suddenly hears the sound of someone crying from inside the old house. Curious and uneasy, she slowly walks inside to investigate. At the same time, Harry is sitting alone on the beach, listening to music. Then he gets the strange feeling that someone is standing right behind him. He quickly turns around, but there's nobody there. That night, Beth tells Harry that Coral's spirit is real and that it's still haunting the island. But Harry refuses to believe her. He argues that if Coral's ghost kills innocent people, then why are they both still alive? The discussion turns into an argument, and eventually they go to sleep. In the middle of the night, Harry suddenly wakes up from a terrifying nightmare. His panic wakes Beth as well. They grab a flashlight and look outside, only to discover two freshly dug graves standing in front of the house. The sight leaves them completely horrified. The next morning, they sit on the beach while Beth breaks down in tears. Since their satellite phone has mysteriously disappeared, they have no way of calling for help. Just then, they spot an airplane flying across the sky. Desperate to be seen, they rush to gather pieces of wood and try to start a signal fire. While they're doing that, Harry suddenly hears the ringing of the satellite phone. Following the sound, he ends up inside the abandoned house once again. There, he finds the phone lying on the floor. Confused, he wonders how it got there. The moment he answers the call, horrifying sounds begin echoing through the receiver. He hears the same screams from the night Coral was abused. Coral cries out in agony while the men continue torturing her without mercy. The chilling sounds terrify Harry, and he immediately throws the phone to the ground. That's when Coral's terrifying spirit appears before him. Harry freezes in fear. His entire body trembles as the ghost slowly approaches. Before he can react, Coral attacks him with a knife and brutally kills him. For the first time, we finally get a clear look at Coral's horrifying appearance before she disappears back into the darkness. Meanwhile, Beth realizes Harry is no longer on the beach, and night is rapidly falling. Carrying a flashlight, she searches for him and eventually reaches the old house. But Harry is nowhere to be found. As she turns to leave, she notices something that makes her blood run cold. Hanging directly above Coral's grave is Harry's lifeless body, brutally murdered and left on display as a gruesome warning. But Coral's story didn't end with her death, and displayed like a warning to anyone foolish enough to challenge the spirit that rules this island. With this, the story ends here.